What you should do is like buy a regular Magic 8 Ball, and you can like pry it open and 3D print your own die.
I googled how to do that, and it's surprisingly difficult.
Yeah, because they're sealed, obviously. They don't want you to get inside of them. Hello and welcome to a book Reshorts.
Woo!
I'm Sam.
I'm Danielle.
And this is normally the podcast where we share weird media that your friends know what you're talking about. But this time, because of many circumstances and the fact that our Hyperion finale is just too big to get done in time, we're doing a little short, a little amuse-bouche for you to get you ready for the grand finale of Hyperion.
What's it called, Sam? What's it called?
This game that we have developed for ourselves is called Opinions on Simmons.
Totally rhymes.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. All slant lines to the wind.
Yes, sure. So this is a little game we've developed where we've gathered up 3 reviews for each of the Simmons books in Hyperion, but one of them is an imposter, a review for some other piece of media, and we're going to challenge each other to find that fake.
Yeah. Maybe easy. We don't know.
Probably pretty easy. Yeah, this could be one of our famous games that just doesn't work, which is most of them.
They all work, Sam.
Yeah, I bet. So we divide these books up. Danielle, you have taken the first 2 books in the Hyperion Cantos, and I've taken
we didn't
the
want
latter
spoilers.
2. Yeah,
Problem
exactly.
With spoilers, yep, just in case.
So Danielle, why don't you kick us off with the 3 reviews you have for Hyperion?
Hyperion by Dan Simmons.
And to be clear to everyone here, these reviews will be heavily edited and redacted to remove any identifying information.
I lightly edited mine, actually.
I didn't, rewrite them, but I did cut out, paragraphs of description.
How long are your reviews? Mine are short.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Mine are not very long. I didn't know we had long review form.
You can do whatever you want. It's your review choice. So what do you got?
These 3 that I'm going to give you, Sam, are all from New York Times.
New York Times? Really?
Yeah.
I did not go that highbrow. I found randos on the internet because it's way more interesting.
I found some randos, too, for my other one, but the specific one for Hyperion, I went highbrow for New York Times.
All right, so the first one here we have says, Dan Simmons' Hyperion is a novel that bends time, genre, and narrative structures in ways that are disorienting as they are captivating. With its interconnected stories spanning centuries and genres, from historical fiction to sci-fi, Simmons creates a dizzying, almost surreal tapestry of ideas and characters. The book's weirdness lies in its complex structure and exploration of themes like reincarnation, fate, and the cyclical nature of history. Hyperion is as much a puzzle as it is a novel, and its narrative quirks and intellectual daring make a deeply unconventional and thought-provoking read.
That's one for you, Sam.
I'm not sure that one's Hyperion, I'll be honest.
Well, you'll find out. You ready for the next one?
Sure, bring it on. A novel that defies easy categorization, Hyperion is a work that blends science fiction with literary fiction, religious allegory, and historical fiction. Its structure, unfolding as a series of interconnected stories told by different characters, creates a sense of disorienting complexity. The book is at once grand in its scope and deeply personal in the exploration of its characters' inner lives. The blending of the bizarre with the beautiful make Hyperion an unforgettable, if at times perplexing, reading experience. The sheer weirdness of the narrative and its shifting tones often make it a challenging read, but one that rewards the patient and the curious.
Mm-hmm.
So you found 2 different reviews for Hyperion on the New York Times?
Yeah, because all 3 of these are from New York Times. 2 of them are real, 2 of them are one of them's fake, Sam. Which one?
Well, one of them is a real book from the New York Times, but not for Hyperion.
That's the third one. One
of the most ambitious and weird books in modern science fiction, Hyperion is a novel that continually refuses to be pinned down to one genre or style. It's part epic space opera, part literary meditation, part religious allegory. The world Simmons creates is at once vast and strange, filled with enigmatic technologies, mysterious alien species, and unsettling, almost dreamlike sense of time. The book's strange structure, told through the eyes of 7 very different characters, often as ever-shifting perspectives on the same central mystery, create a complex, occasionally baffling experience for the reader. I mean, you didn't really try that hard to find 3 different reviews, did you?
There are 3 reviews, Sam. One of them is about 2 of them are about Hyperion. One of them is not.
Let's see. I'm just going to give a little thought here, because the last one, obviously, the 7 stories is probably a red herring, because they're not 7 perspectives on the same. I'm going to say the last one is not Hyperion.
You think so?
Yeah.
You're wrong.
How is that one? There's no aliens. All right. How is that one?
I don't know, Sam. I'm just giving you the reviews.
It doesn't. What? It's not the same story. All right, go on. What's the one that's not Hyperion? And what book is it for?
It's the first one, Sam.
Okay,
the one
so my
that
first
you
instinct
said.
was correct. Yeah, okay.
It is a review of Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense.
I
should go off the instinct. That's on me. Yeah. To be fair, you didn't really put much in those reviews.
I know. I did not. I didn't realize we were supposed to do full reviews, Sam. Fall of Hyperion's a bit longer, if that makes you feel better.
Sure. We'll see. Well, let me give you Endymion.
That was not much longer than mine. Style once again flawless and filled with vivid imagery and description, the potential faults of the novel are largely device and theme related. A few of the characters, ... feel forced. The choice for antagonist in this story had to be newly created, and what results is not always convincing. In the end, this story is more fabulous storytelling. Stakes personal, the mode switches from space opera to planetary adventure, leading the group and those who chase on a series of highly creative scenes and happenings that culminate in a showdown leading into the next book.
All right. How do you feel about that one?
Neutral. Totally neutral.
All right.
Why are all sci-fi novels exactly the same, Sam?
Well, you're going to like this one a lot.
Oh, this is a long one.
Uh-huh.
Amid stretches that don't work for one reason or another, you'll find passages of beauty and simplicity and goofy grandeur. But even if you adore the idea of the writer, quote unquote, there comes a point when it could be foolish to deny the disappointing reality. It's the story of another messiah figure, female this time, fighting for control of the solar system against a King Lear type. I have no idea what was at stake in this story, what the bad guys wanted, what the good guys were trying to do. I'm sure it's possible to figure it out, but I'd rather do something more pleasurable, like untangle wadded up strands of Christmas tree lights. That's very funny.
I may have made some of these pretty obvious, just because I found the reviews funny. I was picking reviews more on what I thought was funnier than what was obscure.
Yeah, my next one's a little bit more like that, Sam. You'll appreciate them better.
All right, here's your last one.
The books in this series are just so well constructed, characterized, and compelling in their depth and scope that I'm happy to claim that this series represents some of the finest far future space opera of this decade. I didn't really warm up to this character, quote unquote. He's not a bad character, and that he isn't too whiny. He's just not the type of main character I want to identify with too much. I never got any grasp on his personality beyond a sense of competence and occasional references to his grandmother. In some ways, this book feels like filler between other stories. I still enjoyed it, though, and heartily recommend it. Does Endymion talk about his grandmother? Well,
that's the question, then, isn't it, Danielle?
I don't remember him talking about his grandmother, but maybe you just didn't bring it up.
Maybe that's the fake one. You gotta tell me.
That's not fair. If I haven't read the books, how do I know if he talked about his grandma?
You could have read the book. No one stopped you from reading Endymion.
Gosh. The first one's so generic. The second one I feel like speaks to my soul, even though it may or may not be real.
Yeah.
And then the third one, I don't know about his grandmother. I'll be honest. I don't remember you mentioning his grandmother, but I don't remember these books well.
You don't remember anything about them if you've learned.
And I also agree with that person's representation of Endymion.
That he's not too whiny?
He is too whiny, but he's just not the type of main character I want to identify with too much.
Yeah, but that's like nothing about it.
I'm going to go with the third one.
As the fake?
Yeah.
Nope.
Does he talk about his grandmother?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Why didn't you ever bring it up?
I definitely mentioned, like, you were talking about, like, how his grandmother taught him chess or whatever, or something.
No, because remember, we had that whole conversation about chess and how, like, I didn't think he'd be good at playing chess.
I thought I mentioned at some point during the first episode of Endymion when I talked about, like...
Okay, 8 episodes ago, you mentioned
Well, it's not my fault. Like, you're like, how dare you bring it up? Well, I did bring it up. Well, how dare you bring it up in an episode that I don't remember? I'm like, well, that's not my problem.
Is it the first one?
The first
episode one?
No, that's also true.
Oh, is it the Christmas tree light one?
Yeah, try to guess what review that is.
Gosh. Okay, let me reread it.
100 points if you can get what this is actually a review for.
And so it's stretches somewhere. You'll find passages of beauty and goofy grandeur.
No, I got to give you time up on this.
I don't know.
That is the Roger Ebert review of Jupiter Ascending.
Oh! That's funny because I totally looked up reviews of Jupiter Ascending. It's even possible I read that.
I thought it was pretty good.
It is good. It's great.
All right. Give me the Fall of Hyperion, Danielle.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I tried to work in a Huckleberry Finn review because that's basically what the story is. Them all going down a river together like Huckleberry Finn.
Sure, that is total legit thing to look up. There you go.
Okay, well that is a chunky review, Danielle. I retract all my criticism.
This Fall of Hyperion was harder to find like actual reviews for. Hyperion probably because it was the first one. There were a lot more.
Yeah, that's fair. So Hyperion is such powerful storytelling. It's unfortunate that the Fall of Hyperion must stand aside and be judged. Like a meeting of Dostoevsky and Tolstoy. Boo. Everyone considers one better than the other. I have no opinion on that. Though both are mammoth. Who's your argument with Tolstoy or Dostoevsky is better? Like, get a life. I'm sorry, literary English majors. Don't come at me. Were it not for one's brilliance, the other would be considered mightiest. As such, the recent publication of the Hyperion Omnibus editions is welcome. The story is able to be read from start to finish as Simmons envisioned it. Readers do not feel such a sharp transition between the two halves, and the need for comparison eliminated. Hyperion is such a tour de force. Most readers will find something amiss in the Fall of Hyperion, though they know not what. The answer is the end of the story. With such a vast number of creative elements at play and interest generated in the characters and story, nobody wants the enjoyment to end. However, it must, and Simmons finishes the tale in suitably epic fashion. The good news is the author also recognizes the wealth of possibilities available and wrote a second duology in the Hyperion universe, Endymion and the Rise of Endymion. Okay, sure. I'm so a little put out that you change all the names to be the things, makes it very much harder.
I thought that was the point, Sam.
I was just going to redact them.
It makes it way harder if you have to say the title in it.
Yeah, way harder.
All right.
View number 2. It is also the case that for every brain-boggling and reality-bending set piece, there's exposition info-dumping mountains of level 9,000 science on us. It's a credit to Simmons' writing skills that none of these passages are bewilderingly or wholly inaccessible to lay readers. And they're also admittedly necessary to get the book's advanced ideas across, even if they can be dull reading. And you do get the sense that the universe, as revealed to us by science, is as glorious a vision as the work of any master painter or great musical composer, and more spiritual than any religion. The Fall of Hyperion aims high and higher, which ought to be the goal of science fiction generally. While its breathtaking vision is occasionally tripped up by shortcomings in storytelling, it remains a true achievement by an important writer on the global science fiction scene.
Info dumping mountains of level 9,000 science.
I mean, to be fair, I wrote a lot of science fiction books that fall into that category.
It just made me laugh.
Simmons' world building in The Fall of Hyperion is even more ambitious than in the first book, and it's clear that he has carefully constructed a universe with deep history and complex political structures. Yet despite the vastness of this universe, Simmons never loses sight of the human and non-human emotions and struggles that drive the story. He deftly balances grand cosmic scale events with the intimate personal experience of his characters, ensuring that the reader is always invested in the fate of both the individuals and the larger universe they inhabit. The Fall of Hyperion is a masterful continuation of the story begun in Hyperion, expanding both the scope and the narrative and the depth of its themes. Dan Simmons crafts a novel that is rich in philosophical inquiry, political intrigue, and emotional complexity, all while maintaining a gripping and fast-paced plot. For readers who enjoyed Hyperion, The Fall of Hyperion offers a satisfying and thought-provoking continuation that pushes the boundaries of science fiction and challenges its readers to think deeply about the nature of humanity, technology, and the universe itself. I would have guessed that last one would be bad because it talks about non-human emotions, since there are not any really non-human characters in any of these books, besides like the Shrike. But based on how they've completely botched the idea of non-humans in your last set of reviews, who knows? My instinct, I just gotta go with it, is number 2 is false.
With your info dumping mountains of level 9,000 science on us?
Yeah, I think that's true of many books, though.
Yes, that is the false one.
Yes!
Do you have any ideas what it's for?
Oh, boy. Can I at least just try to guess the author?
You can guess an author or the piece.
A book? Is that going to be something from Andy Weir?
Nope. Solid, though. I should have looked up some Andy Weir. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I don't know. I got nothing. That was going to be Andy Weir is my best guess for that, because he does a lot of science-y stuff in his book, which is cool.
No, it's The 3-Body Problem.
I don't know that book.
You don't know that book?
I mean, I haven't read that book.
It's very famous right now, Sam.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Super famous.
Okay, well, I know what the actual three-body problem is, if that helps. No?
You're on.
All right, here you are, Danielle. Finally, The Rise of Endymion. This was a little bit harder because I want to try to avoid spoilers.
There's not much action in this story, even though this second story has much more action than the first. No one would ever mistake this writer's stories with those of Edgar Rice Burroughs, Robert A. Heinlein when it comes to stirring action. This writer's strength was always his ideas, even those that haven't aged well or don't seem particularly believable today. His knowledge of science and history was so vast that he could draw on it to impart the future with historical visions of grand sweeps of human empire and reach. His books are fun for those who enjoy such things, perhaps not so much for those who seek more action or romance. I know I'm probably too prone to giving a 5 or 4-star rating to those books I like, especially those that I have nostalgic feeling for, but I truly think this story is one of this writer's better books, even though, or perhaps because, it was written early in his career. That is a mouthful of a review.
Look, I didn't say I got quality reviews. I just got reviews. I thought that was pretty fun. All right. Now you got to try this one on for size.
Are we comparing Simmons to, like, Heinlein or Burroughs? Like, is that... I don't know if that would be my immediate comparison.
Well, maybe this reviewer did. I don't know.
That's the hard part with reviews, is you're like, well, that's not my takeaway, but maybe that's their takeaway.
I mean, if you're going to compare Simmons to famous sci-fi authors, those are certainly two of them.
They are, but they're just completely different story. Anyway, unfortunately, this structure continues into the story and begins to collapse under its own weight, resulting in a 1,400-page story that could easily be cut down by 400 pages. This is especially apparent when at multiple points the writer resorts to a 20-page section of dialogue to explain some mysteries and conclude an act of the story, separated by hundreds of pages describing planets and characters in immense detail, despite the fact that they don't have any significant impacts on the story. That is the major complaint. This character, on the other hand, is both the protagonist and the flattest, most uninteresting character in the story. This makes it particularly difficult to make it through the more plotting sections, so feel free to skim as you see fit. The character is more interesting as a quasi-messiah who can see potential futures, but her character falls prey to the lack of development that characters who can see the future often suffer from. The writer somehow didn't find the space in either book to deconstruct the ability to see the future and the impact that ability can have on a character, like Frank Herbert did with Paul Atreides in Dune and its sequels.
Here you go. Feel good about this one?
That's something. There's a lot going on in that review.
Yeah. Here's your last one.
This story can certainly be seen to steal a page or two from Alfred Bester's Tiger, aka The Star Is My Destination. Without spoiling matters, suffice to say, an ordinary guy is put through hell to achieve his goals. Though Gully Foyle's motive is revenge, and this character's is love, and each are tried and tested in a variety of creative ways that are a credit to each author's imagination. The strongest aspect of the comparison, besides the bombastic style, that's a good description, is the manner in which each character uses the knowledge they've gained at the conclusion of their story. In the end, the story is a good conclusion to a good story that will not disappoint readers who enjoyed the first half. Though falling short of the quality of the other story, due to the slightly melodramatic and forced feel of the climax, this story is still great science fiction for the 21st century.
Yeah.
Those are hard.
Yeah. I want to get a literary analysis on you in this one.
Always hard on a book you haven't actually read.
Look, I gave you the opportunity to read these books, but you're like, no, it's fine. And the one you did read, you complained about incessantly.
Yeah, well, you know what? Hard book, man. I didn't even remember reading it. We just had this discussion.
All right, so I don't know if, you having read these books would have helped you in this instance. I'm going to press you for an answer.
I was rereading the first one because I completely forgot what it was.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
I think it's the second one.
Is the false one?
Yeah.
Nope.
I didn't actually really think it was. It's very specific.
It was, in fact, the first one.
Oh, that was my backup.
Yeah,
that
was...
generic. See, I told you it wouldn't be compared to Rice Burroughs or Heinlein.
Yeah, well, you gotta guess what who that one is about?
I don't know.
That would be Foundation and Empire by Isaac Asimov.
Oh, I was gonna guess Asimov. I should have done it. I should have said it out loud.
When I thought of some bombastic Empire stuff, I had to go Asimov.
Yeah, I totally should have guessed Asimov.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Which review do you think best summarizes your experience with these books? It could be one of the ones that isn't even about them.
Okay, I think it's the Christmas tree light one.
Yeah, I'm going to say, is it going to be the Jupiter Ascending one? Kind of amazing how well that applies.
It is. And maybe...
I kind of like the last one about, or the one about Rawl being the flattest character ever.
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah.
He's so boring.
Exactly. I think we found a really interesting cross-section of opinions. There's a lot of, as you noted, diverse and very polarizing opinions on these books.
Crazy.
Me, I think they're fun. I don't know if they're good, but they're definitely fun.
I think they're fun, Sam. I agree.
Yeah, except for the one you read.
Okay, yeah, but it's different. But if I was reading the whole series, maybe I'd be into it. I've enjoyed the re-listen that I've been doing.
Oh, yeah, it's a little preview for after we finish the series.
Yeah.
Well, if you out there have a review of Hyperion, or I guess something that could be Hyperion if you fooled us with it, you can send it in to us at bookretorts.com.
You can also blue sky us at Book Retorts.
And if you want to fund our review aggregation service where we aggregate reviews that are mostly about the thing you want to be reviewed, you can do that at patreon.com/bookretorts.
Mean?
I mean, we'll get you a bunch of reviews. Most of them will be about the thing you care about. Some of them, maybe not.
We'll give you reviews of something.
Yeah. Most of them are the thing you care about.
What a great review service.
The best, right? Well, until next time, remember, someone else's opinion is theirs. It doesn't have to be yours. Until then, bye.
This has been Opinions on Simmons.
Thank you for that closing, Danielle. Very good.
Take care, everybody.
All right, so this is just going to be a regular short, right?
Yes.
Do you have a name for it?
Oh, no, we didn't.
We didn't think of a name for it.
No.
Anything can be these books. Simmons opinions.
That's kind of good.
But it's not his opinion, so.
Yeah, but it's Opinions on Simmons.
Yeah, exactly. Opinions on Simmons. I think we should go with that one. I think
Opinions on Simmons.
Yeah.
Sure.